Hey cousins, I'm Shemaya. It's like papaya, except it's not. And this is Plot Twist Please. Welcome to my humble abode. Welcome to my screen. Welcome to this mic. Welcome to a random person on the internet. How you doing? So this is a place where I like to talk about mental health advocacy as well as pop culture and ways in which we can, while pursuing an equitable world, make our brains a little cozier. So today I'm doing something a little different than what I usually do in my podcast. So the YouTube channel is where I put the podcast and like my fun little snippet videos that are still educational, or that I tried to make them be. And then the podcast is for the long form, deep dive, cultural conversations about community and, more extensive research in that vein. But when it's just a straight up YouTube video, I like to be a little looser. I like to speak more off the cuff. And talk about things that are a little more lighthearted, not as heavy, but still educational. So today we are talking about Olivia Rodrigo. I know. What does Olivia Rodrigo have to do with neurodivergence? Or, well, I mean, actually, I think it's kind of obvious. Actually, I mean, I was trying to help you out, but like, I think it's pretty, self-explanatory why I'm talking about Olivia Rodrigo on a mental health YouTube channel. Anyway, yes, I know he is my advocate. To people reconnect, I only see him as a friend. Biggest lie I ever said. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I was blasting her music for the past like 2 weeks because sometimes you just need to get certain feelings out. And that is what I'm gonna talk about today. Not about the feelings that I had to get out, but what I am talking about is the need to get your feelings out and just throw them at the wall and just just so why is it that Olivia Rodrigo is rising up in the charts? It's one of the top artists right now. That she has such an internet following, and why are so many people streaming her songs? What's the big deal? By the way, I'm just letting you know this isn't me just being like, "What, a female pop artist? What, a woman? A woman doing something well? We must interrogate. There's got to be something else going on here." No, like first of all, she just writes good music. This is how someone described her music on TikTok. So you know how some people who write music have like a part of the song that's like meh, and then like the middle is where the bop happens, and the rest of the song is like meh, but you really are listening to the song for that one part. Literally every single section in every single one of Olivia Rodrigo's songs on this new album scratches that itch. Every single song is like that special part of the song that you want to listen to. The way that she wrote the songs, the way they were produced, and the way she performs them, a combination of all those things makes it so that it's this beautiful amalgamation of everything that scratches the itch in the back of your brain, in your inner ear, that makes you want to listen to it over and over again. And that is hard to do. I need us to just acknowledge that that is difficult to do for most artists. And I would argue most artists whose songs are at the top of the charts, their songs aren't like that. Not every single one on an album, not every single one. And like, look, I'm not comparing Olivia Rodrigo to Beyonce, but what I am saying is that this is an artist who has potential to be really, really great and to create a really strong fan base and a strong repertoire for herself, which is exciting. But that aside, girl power, women, that aside, I just want to talk about what it is about her music that makes my neurodivergent brain really happy, and that I think a lot of people are actually resonating with, which I think is what is contributing to its success. And so here's what I'll say about that. Women. Now, what is it about Olivia Rodrigo's music that heals our inner neurodivergent child? I know that seems like a stretch, but I will prove that it's true. What is it about the magic of music that Olivia Rodrigo is tapping into right now? First of all, in order to understand why she's so successful and why she's resonating with so many people, is to look at her fan base. Well, I feel like when I initially think of Olivia Rodrigo's fan base, I think of, 13-year-old girls. I think about where Olivia Rodrigo started in the public sphere, which was on Disney Channel, or at the very least is where she started getting her most public acclaim. And then she launched from Disney Channel to the music industry, which is the standard for a lot of Disney Channel stars. But what's different about Olivia Rodrigo, I think, is that she's tapping into a culture and tapping into an ethos that a lot of people are resonating with right now in particular. So there are lots of bands that are actually doing what Olivia Rodrigo is doing right now and that have been doing that, the female punk rock genre. But what Olivia Rodrigo is doing is pulling from those sources and adding these pop mainstream tones to it to make it more palpable, quote quote, for the mainstream folk who don't like dig into that like grunge pop runk, pop grunge pop grunge grunge pook rank. I don't know what I'm saying. Punch. Whoa. Punk rock grunge. She's doing that smart. Is pulling from the things that work for that niche genre, adding more mainstream elements. Like there are certain elements in her songs, like the screaming. Like there are like measures of her screaming, and then cutting to singing in very instantaneous moments, which is very similar to a lot of grunge rock. There's a band called Wet Leg, and they have a song called Your Mom. They have a lot of songs that remind me of Olivia Rodrigo, but I just got into them. I like them. So, but they have a song. Part of the song is someone just screaming, is a woman just screaming out of frustration. And especially now with women empowerment being a big focal point in society right now, being a big focus, and with women feeling empowered to speak up about their struggles as it pertains to misogyny, as it pertains to patriarchy, as it pertains to um, feeling safe in spaces with other men, or feeling companionship with other women. They are feeling empowered to speak up about that. And I think because there is space for them to do so, there are more avenues for women to come up, both in the entertainment industry and as voices of change. And so it's like the perfect salad for an Olivia Rodrigo to succeed, right? It's the perfect stew for feminine rage, for punk rock, for a new spin on a genre that is kind of on the outskirts to become more of a focus for mainstream listeners. It's just so fascinating to me that this is like the perfect time for an Olivia Rodrigo to rise. I don't get when people are like, Olivia Rodrigo is copying Taylor Swift. Oh, and also she's copying she's copying like Avril Lavigne, and also she's copying Wet Leg, or like she's like, it's like what you are saying is everything is copy. Every musician copies somebody else. What you are actually saying is that she is taking all of these parts of different genres and of different artists, which every artist does. Every good artist does. Every skilled artist does, and making them work for what resonates with her. And it just so happens that the thing that resonates with her is the thing that also resonates with a lot of other people at the same time. Also, I think it's so fair to say that so many lines of hers, like, I'm sexy and I'm kind of pretty when I cry, like, of course that is like the pent up frustration from being a woman and always have to seem grateful and always being happy regardless of what you're going through. Like if you have just had a baby, you have to be glowing. You can't be crabby. If you literally are just enduring misogyny every day walking on the street, you're supposed to do it with a smile. You're not supposed to frown, you're supposed to smile. Like it's all of this. It's all of the things that make it so frustrating to be a woman in society that she's tapping into. And that's why it's resonating with so many women in particular, I think. And I honestly, I don't know if it's just teenagers. I think there are a lot of women who are either in relationships having to suffer quietly, with in relationships with men having to suffer quietly, or who are just sick of it and have had to be grateful for everything, regardless, and never complain, who have felt like they couldn't complain because it would risk their relationships, it would risk their job, and have to just endure the system that we live under with a smile. By the way, I'm particularly referring to this new album, Guts. I hope that's been clear throughout this whole video. But the fact that it's coming out right after the Barbie movie, it's just like the icing on the cake, I think. So honestly, when it comes to my little autistic sappy soul, I literally felt like I had permission while listening to this album to feel imperfect feelings. I think a lot of autistic people, when they grow up, are trained to bottle up their feelings because maybe when they're younger, they don't necessarily know how to express them in a way that makes other people comfortable because we feel everything extremely deeply. But I used to feel guilty for feeling anger, not yelling, but feeling anger. And I think it got to the point where the people who didn't deserve the brunt of my anger ended up paying for it later. Um, because I was bottling it up. And since when you bottle things up, at some point they explode. It's called the Coke bottle effect. The people who did deserve it, though, I will say, also did get what they deserve. But just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, 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 no. It wasn't the most productive way I could have handled my feelings. But I think this album encouraged me personally as an autistic person who has spent a lot of time feeling guilty for feeling unpleasant feelings or bad feelings, right? It helped me feel them thoroughly. It encouraged me to just let it out, whether it was stomping around in my room or blasting the music while I'm walking to the train, like with some pep in my step, because I'm like, gotta get to the train. And also, I hate misogyny and all these things that happen to me. And it really is a return to girlhood for the neurodivergent woman. And I think that a Gen Zer in particular would understand the impact of Olivia Rodrigo right now because no one in the pop mainstream category is doing what she's doing. Like, I want to be very clear. No one is doing what Olivia Rodrigo is doing right now. The Avril Lavigne phase is over. I think Avril Lavigne was doing that in the 90s, and I think Olivia is doing it now. But also, she's just allowing women to be mad. And women so seldom get the opportunities to just be mad. And we get to be sad, we get to be scared, we get to be demure, but we don't get to be mad. And also, I want to point out how liberating the right to be angry is. I remember a lot of pushback that the Black Lives Matter movement got a few years ago when it was at its inception, or when it was first, starting to gain traction in the mainstream space. A lot of people were criticizing Black people just for being upset, not even for doing anything, just for saying, I'm upset about this. Whereas if it was another community, it seems like it wouldn't be that response. It's just with Black people. It's just Black anger that people seem to be afraid of. And for my nostalgic adult soul, my nostalgic neurodivergent soul, it reminds me that very seldom are autistic people allowed to be children. Particularly if you're a woman, you have to grow up faster. Women have to grow up faster than autistic men just because of society. But this was really a revisit to childhood itself, to me. And many marginalized people are not allowed to be children. That's the thing, when they are children, because the world forces them to grow up extremely quickly. Sometimes their parents put that on them because they want to protect them. Sometimes they think that's the only way to keep their kid alive and having a good life, a healthy life, and for them to thrive. But to me, Olivia's music is for those people, the people who have been holding in their anger and their messy emotions, their inconveniencing emotions, because there is no space for them to feel those feelings. As an autistic person, something I'm really good at is intellectualizing my feelings and being like, okay, I'm feeling something. That means I have to figure out why I'm feeling it so I can stop feeling it. But that's not what feeling your feelings is about. That young girl deserved to feel the things that maybe seem disruptive or immature. Kids get to be immature. The kids. I think too, we associate maturity to a value system as a society. Maturity is positive, immaturity is negative. But I do wonder if you're not harming anyone. What exactly is wrong with being immature? Like, literally, let's boil it down to what is it actually about immaturity that is wrong if you're not harming someone else, that is. What I'm talking about? I think a lot of us silence our inner child because we grew to understood how rarely childlike optimism is celebrated. We learned that practicality and paying bills and not sharing how we feel and not sharing how excited we are about something gains us respect. If we are excited about something, that is deemed as more feminine, and feminine is inherently bad. Like, you see, feminine is inherently weak, And if we're excited about a person in our life, we're not supposed to show it, especially if it's a romantic partner, right? We're supposed to play it cool. We're not supposed to seem too interested. But I hope we learn to fight against all those instincts, because in my opinion, that's the way to live. Why do we so easily punish or ostracize the people who instinctively see the beauty in the world? What if instead we learned from those people? So, what is it about Olivia Rodrigo that's resonating with so many people? I think that particularly it's resonating with neurodivergent people because she forces us to get out of our head and get into our bodies. I talked about this on my latest podcast episode titled We're Both Grown, about power and bullying. And the fact of the matter is, you can't think yourself into happiness. You can't intellectualize your way out of trauma, out of pain. You have to feel those feelings and then allow your body to do its work. You got to take the long route. There are no shortcuts, unfortunately. But thanks to a lot of music and a really close-knit community, I hope that you are finding your way through it. All right, that's all I have for you today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Be blessed and stay weird.